Good morning, everyone. Am I audible? Please, someone respond.
Yes, sir.
I think it must be clear now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let us begin today's class. So, already in the previous class, we have seen the API for JDBC, that is, different classes and interfaces, and the methods which are part of those classes and interfaces, which will be useful for us in establishing a connection to the database and then interact with the database. So when you say interact with the database, inserting data into the tables of the database as well as retrieving data from the tables of a database. Okay, so now let us see an example program which uses those interfaces and methods, classes and methods. We'll see two programs today. One is to perform insertion operation, that is to insert values into the table. The other one is to retrieve values from the database table. Okay, so because I want to establish a connection with the database, first we need to import the JDBC API, which is part of the predefined package called java.sql. So I'm completely importing the java.sql package by writing it as java.sql.star. Then uh, we need to insert values, some data into the tables of the database, right? So that data will be receiving it from the console, from the user input. So to read values from the console, I want a scanner object, so I'm importing that scanner class also from the util package. Then I'm defining a class called dbwrite. So it has a main method. So this file will be saved as dbwrite.java. First, I'm creating scanner object. So you know how to create a scanner object. Scanner, the object name is yes, the new operator and the constructor for the scanner, for which we'll be passing as parameter a system.in, which represents the standard input device, that is a keyboard for receiving data as input. Then I'm prompting the user to enter his name by displaying a message using system.out.println. Enter your name. So how to read a string value from the keyboard? By using the next line method, which is part of scanner class. So we already created a scanner class object here. Yes. So use that s.nextLine method. So this is going to return what? It is going to return the string that you enter. So that is nothing but, in this case, it is the name of the user, and that will be stored in a variable called fname, which is of type string. Then we'll again prompt the user to enter his email ID by printing a message, enter your email ID. Enter your email ID by using system.out.println. Then again use the same next line method to retrieve the email from the keyboard and store it in a variable of type string, and that is nothing but email. Then again we'll prompt the user to enter the department. So use the same next line method, read it from the keyboard and store it in the variable dept. So then till here we have read the data, the input data that we want to insert into the table. What is that input data we received from the keyboard? Name of the user, email, and his department, right? So these three are stored in three different variables: fname, email, and dept respectively. So now this, it is time for us to establish connection to the database. So as we discussed earlier, we are going to use MySQL database here. So how to register the driver? by calling the for name method. So for name method, which is defined in the class, and for name is a static method. So you can call that for name method directly by using the name of the class, that is class, followed by dot operator, and the name of the method is for name. So it receives one string parameter, and that is nothing but the driver class for MySQL. So what is the driver class I'm using? com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. Okay. So we discussed about all these things in the previous class, right? So next, what is the next thing after registering the driver? We need to establish a connection. So for that we have a method called getConnection method, which is again a static method defined in the class called driver manager, which is in java.sql package. Okay. So for this, what we need to give as parameter, we need to give three parameters. Three of them are of string type. So the first one is the URL, which will identify your database on MySQL uniquely. Then the second one is the user account that you want to use with that MySQL database, and its password is the third parameter. So first one, the URL. The URL consists of the API name that we are using for establishing database connection, and what is that API? JDBC, followed by a colon, and to which database you are using establishing connection? The MySQL database. So this must be mentioned. The API name and the database technology must be separated by a colon symbol, and then after that one more colon symbol which will separate the uh, database and API with the host name, the MySQL server. So that will be referred with two forward slashes and followed by a local host followed by a colon symbol. There is a 3306, which is the default port number for MySQL server on any system. So this will be same unless you change it during installation, right? So by default you will have 3306 as the port number through which your MySQL server will be communicating with application. So the URL will be the API name followed by a colon, the database that you want to use, whether it is MySQL or Oracle or something else, then followed by one more colon symbol, then the MySQL server, which is referred as a double forward slash localhost colon 3306, where 3306 is a port number through which your MySQL server will interact with applications, then followed by a slash on your MySQL server. What is the database that you have, and what is the database name which you want to communicate? So I have already created a database with name registration, so I want to communicate with that. So after the port number you give a slash symbol, forward slash, and then mention the database. So this will completely form the URL which is going to identify uniquely the database registration from MySQL with its port number as 3306, and the API that will be used to communicate with that MySQL database is JDBC. So this is the first parameter we need to give in the form of a string. So that's why it is enclosed in double quote. Then give a comma. What is the user account that I'm going to use is root user account. That must be given as second parameter. That also is of type string. So enclose it in double quote, comma. Then the third parameter is also a string, but this is a password. This is a password for the user account. So my root user account has no password, so I'm leaving it blank. Simply open the double quote and close it. So with this statement, we have completed establishing database connection. So the database connection will be, this get connection method will be returning after successful establishment of connection with this database. It will return an object of type connection interface. So and hence you have connection con is equal to then driver manager dot get connection method. So now after successful establishment of connection, you will get an object con. Okay. Then the I need to execute an SQL statement on my database. So what is that SQL statement? This it is an insert statement. So I want to insert values into the table of the database. So we have a table called test table. It contains these fields: f name, email, DEPT. So let me show that database. So I'm using MySQL database, which is part of XAMPP server. So which I'll be using it for PHP based application. So this is a control panel uh, from where you can start or stop the web server for PHP and even the MySQL server also. So I've started both of them. So this XAMPP provides us with a dashboard so that you can create or manipulate tables from this dashboard for MySQL. So how to open this? Open it, just simply type it as localhost. Then you'll get this dashboard, XAMPP dashboard. So at the top right corner, you have PHP MyAdmin. So click on this. So this will be, remember, this will be opened only when you start the control panel. From the control panel, you go start both Apache as well as MySQL modules. Without starting them, this will not be opened. This page will not be opened, right? So once you open this PHP MyAdmin, so on the left side, you'll be able to find all the existing databases with their names mentioned here. So you can see DB test information underscore schema, leave underscore management, MySQL performance underscore schema, PHP MyAdmin registration and test. So out of this, which is our database? Our database is registration. So if you want to interact or perform any operations on this database, then simply click on this database. Then this will list you all the tables that are part of this database. We have 3 tables: sample, test and users. Even they can be visible here also. So if you want to know the structure of this table, then you can click on that particular table name. So that will be showing the structure of the table. So the structure in the sense, what are the fields and what are their data types in that table, that will be displayed. So in our program, so what are we doing? We are inserting values into the table called test table. So let us open the test table. So this is my test table. If I click on structure, then it will show me. It has 4 fields. The first field is ID, which is a primary key and it is an auto increment field. Then second field is fname. Third field is email and it is a unique field. And fourth field is DEPT. So ID is a primary key and its data type is integer. Its length is 10. And the remaining 3 fields, fname, email, DEPT, all 3 of them are of type varchar, each of size 100. And out of these 3 varchar fields, email is a unique field. So that means the email ID must be unique. And this ID is an auto increment field. So it will take value starting from 0, 1, so on. And the first record that will be inserted will be assigned a value 0. Then the second record 1, third record 2, so on. Automatically the integer value will be incremented for each record. Okay, but in our program we are not going to insert this id field because this will be automatically incremented and it will start values from 0. So no need for us to insert that value. So that's the reason why I'm specifying only the remaining 3 fields: fname, email and DEPT. Okay, so I need to insert only these 3 values. The first field ID will be automatically inserted. A new value will be inserted for every record that you insert by incrementing the current value. Okay, then what are the values I'm inserting? So I want to insert the values which I've read from the keyboard and stored in 3 different variables, that is fname, email and DEPT. So I need to mention them here in the values. So as per the syntax of the MySQL, the insert command, after in the values inside the parenthesis, you need to specify each and every value in a single quote. But because our values are stored in Java variables, we cannot enclose that variables here directly within a single code. If you enclose them within a single code, then your Java program will consider them not as Java variables, but they'll be considered as strings themselves. So to avoid that, what we need to do is we need to write those variable names outside the double quotes, right? So after opening the double quote before insert command and insert into test, the table name field names are mentioned within the parentheses and followed by values. Then here what we need to do, we are supposed to open the single quote, right? Simply open that single quote and close the double quote, because we cannot enclose this Java variable f name inside a single quote, which will be considered by your Java as a string, not as a variable. And instead of using its value, it will use this f name itself as a value. So we don't want that to happen. So what we need to do, we need to write it outside the double quote. So before closing the double quote, just open the single quote and then close the double quote and concatenate the string with the value of f name variable, and again uh, concatenate it with by opening the double quote and closing the single quote that you op opened here at the beginning, right? So after the single quote is closed, so as per the syntax of MySQL, the second value and the first value must be, or even if that matters, every value that you are trying to insert must be separated by a comma, and each value must be enclosed within single quote, right? So after single quote is closed for the first value, give a comma, then open the single quote for the second value, then close the double quote. Then the next second value that I want to insert is in variable email, so concatenate that email variable value by using plus, and then again concatenate this resulting string with, again, by opening the double quote and closing the single quote, and then giving a comma to separate the second and third value, and then again the open the single quote for the third value, close the double quote and concatenate the third value from the variable dept, then close the single quote and open the double quote and close the single quote. So at the end, because all the values are completed now, we need to close the parenthesis. So after the single quote, give a parenthesis and then finally close the string with the double quote. So this is what I want to execute on the MySQL server. So I've created this query statement, SQL statement, and stored it in the form of a string in the variable SQL in the form of a string, right? Then we need to create this statement, SQL statement. So it is just now in a string format, right? So you can execute it only when you make it a SQL statement by calling the create statement method. So where is this create statement method defined? In connection interface. Already we have obtained this connection object con here in this line. So use that object con and call the create statement method. So this will return an object of type statement interface, st. So I'm storing it in st reference variable. So now st is an object of type statement interface. So why we require this statement? Because this statement object is required for us so that we can execute this SQL statements on the MySQL, because there is a method called execute update and there is one more method called execute query, which are used for running or executing either the DML statements or DDL statements on the MySQL server. So to execute this statement, what type of statement it is? Is it DML statement or DDL statement? It is a DML statement, right? So we require execute update, a method. So where is this execute update method defined? In statement interface. So to call that, we require a statement object. So in the previous line itself, we have called the create statement method, which is returning an object type statement. So using that statement object st, call this execute update method and pass as parameter a string value, which is nothing but the SQL statement that you want to execute on the MySQL server. So already we have stored that SQL statement in SQL variable. So pass that SQL variable as parameter to this execute update method. So what is this execute update method going to return? It is going to return an integer value representing the number of rows affected on the MySQL server. If it is affecting one row, then it will return 1. If it is affecting 2 rows, it will return 2. As such, it is going to return as many row the value integer value which is equivalent to as many rows as that are affected on the MySQL server. So if it is not affecting, that means if it is not inserting any value, any at least one row also, then it is going to return 0. So if your R value is 0, what does it indicate? It indicates that no record is inserted into the database. If R value is greater than 0, then it means that at least one record has been inserted into the database. So you can identify or you can find out whether at least one row has been inserted into the database or not by comparing the value of R, whether it is 0 or greater than 0. So if it is greater than 0, it indicates that at least one record has been inserted. Because our insert statement that we created, that is going to insert only one row, so we exactly know that the value that will be returned, if it is greater than 0, it will be definitely equal to 1. So in the if statement, in the if block, what I am writing here is system.out.println one row inserted successfully. Okay, so this will be executed only when R value is greater than 0, or that is R is equal to 1. If R value is equal to 0 or less than 0, what does it indicate? That means a row has not been inserted into the table. So that may be for several reasons. So if it is for some syntax reason or something, an exception will be generated. And because we put all these statements inside this try block, so the corresponding exception can be caught by this catch block. And the system.out.println will be printing this message. Email ID already exists. Select a different email ID. So if you don't want to display this message, then you can change this to something else. You can print the exception object E directly. Then you will know what exactly has happened on the database. What is the exception that has occurred? Okay, right. So now we'll try to run this program and see whether the data will be inserted or not. So class name is dbwrite. So I'm compiling it using dbwrite.java. So successfully compiled. So run the program by using Java dbwrite. So now it is asking you to enter your name. So then it is prompting me to enter email. I entered email also. Then the department, I'm giving it as CSE. So if you observe, let us go to the database and browse how many records are already there. So if you observe, there are 4 records already available. So with IDs 1, 2, 4, 7 respectively. 3, 5, 6 are missing because I deleted them. Okay. So what is the previous value? 7. Now we must get a new record with its ID value as 8 here. Okay. So or if I have deleted any other values which with ID 8 or 9, then it will be after that value. But if you look at the email field, which is a unique field, so we have in the database already tarakeshwar@gmail.com as one email ID and Rajshekhar. So my email ID will not conflict with this, but this the fourth field Rishit and tarakeshwar@vjit.ac.in. This is a unique field, right? So if I try to give that email ID now, so what is it going to generate? It is going to generate an exception, right? So this is unique field. So let us see whether it is generating an exception or not. See, it has generated an exception. What is that exception? Java.sql.sql integrity constraint violation exception. Duplicate entry tarakeshwar@vjt.ac.in for key email. So because this key, the email key field is a unique key, so it will generate an exception. If it is not a unique key, then it will accept it. But because it is a unique key, it will not accept it, right? So why is this happening? Because the email ID already exists. So that's the reason why this exception is occurring. Okay. So in my program, and that's the reason why instead of displaying this exception description E, what I have written, so I can display a message like this, right? So there is a chance for us to get an exception with two fields. One is the ID field, the other one is email ID field, right? Because these two are unique fields. ID is a primary key and email is a unique key. But fname and dept will accept duplicate entries. There is no problem with this. So you will not get any exception with these two fields, fname and dept. We will be getting exception only with ID and email. But coming to ID, because it is an auto increment field and we are not inserting any value, automatically that values will be starting from 1, they will be incrementing the values. So even there is no scope for exception to occur in this ID field also. So the only one remaining is email. So we may get an exception only with this one. So that's the reason why I'm using in my program email ID already exists, right? So if you want to know any other exceptions, then you can give a description about that exception also here. Okay. Now let us run this program once again. So this time I'll try to give a different email ID. So there is no such email ID matching with that mail ID that I gave now. So there is no scope for exception to occur. So it has to accept and a new record must be inserted here. So I'll press enter here. So you got one row inserted successfully. So if I refresh this browse button, so now I'll get 9. That means earlier record was 8, so that I deleted it. So that's the reason. So now a new record is inserted here, Tarakeshwar, and email ID as mail to tarakeshwar@gmail.com and department is CSE. So there are all these are duplicate entries, right? This will be accepted, and even this also will be accepted, but this will not be accepted. So if I try to insert one more value now, I must get what? Because I didn't delete any here, the next ID value must be 10. So let us try to give one more record here. So again we got successful message. So see, now you got 10, right? The earlier record was with ID 9, now it is 10. Fine. So this is how you insert values into the table of a database.